The wind cut through Powder Pass like a rusty blade, carrying dust that stung worse than rock salt. Rosa Quinn pulled her coat tighter, squinting through the red haze as her mare picked its way down the treacherous slope. 6 years since the war ended, and she still couldn't shake the habit of scanning for danger in every shadow. Then a scream split the air. Not a woman's cry, but the raw sound of a man in agony. Rosa's hands moved to her medical bag before her mind fully registered the noise. "Old habits," she muttered, spurring her horse toward the sound. "Easy, Buttercup," she murmured, guiding the mare around loose rocks toward an overturned ore wagon. 3 miners clustered around a 4th, their faces pale beneath the coal dust. "Move aside," Rosa commanded, swinging down from her saddle. The men hesitated, until one finally growled. "Woman, this ain't no place for you. Best ride into town and fetch Doc Morrison." "Doc Morrison's been deceased 2 months," she replied curtly, kneeling beside the injured man. "Unless you fancy your friend bleeding out while you debate propriety, I suggest you let me work." The trapped miner's eyes rolled back, shock setting in. Rosa pressed 2 fingers to his neck. Pulse, rapid but steady. The wheel had crushed his lower leg, but no arterial spray yet. "Lucky, if you could call this luck." "You," she said, pointing to the youngest miner. "Run to the saloon. Tell Marigold Hayes I need clean cloth and whiskey. The rest of you, lift this wheel." "Can't budge it," another said. "Load shifted, too heavy." Hoofbeats thundered overhead. A rider descended the pass at a reckless pace, dust and grit flying. The horse, a massive black stallion, skidded to a halt in a cloud of dirt. Its rider dismounted in one fluid motion, tall and broad, moving with the controlled grace of a man accustomed to violence. "Elias Crow," one miner muttered with relief. "Thank the Lord." Rosa had heard the name whispered in town, former cavalry scout, now rancher, and a man who kept his own counsel. Up close, she saw why people stepped aside when he walked. It wasn't just his size, or the colt on his hip. It was the way he carried himself, like a wolf among sheep. His gray eyes swept the scene, pausing briefly on Rosa before settling on the wagon. "Need to cut the axle," he said simply. "Joss, you got that hacksaw?" While the miners scrambled, Elias crouched beside Rosa. "You the new midwife?" "Midwife and whatever else folks need," she said without looking up. "Right now, I need this man freed before gangrene sets in." He studied her hands, steady, efficient. "Field Hospital, Pennsylvania 45th? She met his gaze briefly. "You, 3rd Colorado Cavalry." Recognition flickered between them, shared darkness. "This'll take some doing," Elias muttered. "I've seen worse," Rosa said. "Just get that wheel off." Elias nodded once and took command. Under his direction, the miners heaved as he sawed through the axle. Metal shrieked, sparks flying. Rosa kept her hands steady, monitoring the man's breathing. Sweat streaked through coal dust on her face, but her focus never wavered. The young miner returned with supplies, Marigold Hayes herself trailing behind. The saloon owner's sharp eyes softened at the sight. "Lord have mercy, that's Tom Brennan. Got 3 little ones at home." "He'll see them again if everyone does their job," Rosa said. "Marigold, hold his head steady. When they lift, he'll come around screaming." The saloon owner didn't hesitate. "Ready?" Elias called. "On 3. 1, 2. The wheel lifted. Tom's scream echoed through the canyon. Rosa pulled him clear, blood soaking her sleeves, but the artery held. She cleaned and bound the wound with practiced speed. "Sweet Jesus," one miner whispered, gagging at the sight. "If you're going to be sick, do it elsewhere." Rosa snapped. "Marigold, the whiskey." The wound was bad but survivable, if infection didn't take him. If the town's new judge didn't run her out for practicing medicine without his precious license. "You always this bossy?" Elias asked, voice low. "You always ask questions when people are bleeding?" Rosa shot back. Before he could answer, a cultured voice cut through the wind. And you, madam, have no authority to practice medicine in my jurisdiction. Judge Silas Beckett sat astride a fine bay mare, flanked by two Pinkertons. His coat was tailored, his smile cold as mountain frost. "Man's dying, Judge," Elias said quietly. "Then he should be taken to proper facilities," Beckett replied. "The mine's contract doctor arrives next month." "Next month won't help Tom Brennan today," Rosa said, standing. Her hands were red with blood, her voice steady. "I'm a trained nurse. I've saved more lives than you've likely read about." "You're nothing but a dangerous amateur," Beckett's eyes glinted. "I'll overlook this incident, but any further practice, and you'll face arrest." The miners murmured angrily. Even the Pinkertons shifted uneasily. But Beckett turned his horse and rode off, dust rising in his wake. "That man's got a special place in hell waiting," Marigold muttered. "Help me get Tom to the saloon," Rosa said. "Clean sheets, boiled water. I'll treat him regardless." "You'll hang for it," Elias warned. "Then the law is wrong," she replied firmly. "I didn't survive 3 years of war to let men die for paperwork." Something changed in Elias's eyes. Respect, maybe more. "Johnson, help me make a litter," he said. "We'll take him to my ranch. Beckett's writs don't reach private land." "Why risk it?" she asked quietly. "Maybe I don't like watching men die," he said, tightening the straps. "Or maybe I'm curious if you're half as good as you claim." They worked side by side, their movements in sync. As they lifted Tom onto the litter, Rosa caught a strange scent, bitter almonds on his breath. Her stomach sank. "Marigold," she said sharply, "how many miners have fallen sick lately? Fever? Strange breath?" The woman's face went pale, more than usual. Doc Morrison called it mine fever. Rosa exchanged a grim look with Elias. She'd smelled that scent before. Arsenic poisoning. Someone was poisoning the miners, and she intended to find out who. The wind howled through Powder Pass as their small procession began the descent toward Elias Crow's ranch. Dust swirled like ghosts in the fading light, and Rosa glanced once toward the ridge where Beckett had disappeared. She had come west seeking peace. Instead, she'd found another battlefield, one of greed, corruption, and quiet cruelty. But she also found something else beside her in the saddle, a man who understood war, loss, and justice. And Rosa Quinn had never been one to walk away from a fight. The summer rain came early to Ash Hollow, turning Main Street into a river of mud. Rosa Quinn stood in the doorway of what would soon become her clinic, watching the transformation with mixed feelings. The rain meant relief from dust, but it also meant harder travel for patients seeking help. "You sure about this?" Elias Crow hammered another board into place, his shirt damp with rain and sweat. For a week, he'd been helping her convert the old storage shed beside his barn into something resembling a medical cabin. "Beckett won't take kindly to open defiance," he said, straightening to meet her eyes. "Tom Brennan's walking on the leg I saved," Rosa replied, accepting another plank from him. "That's worth Beckett's displeasure." The shed was small, just one room with a curtained corner for privacy, shelves she'd built herself, and a sturdy table Marigold had donated from the saloon's back room. It wasn't much, but it was hers. "I'm not practicing medicine," she added, forcing a small smile. "I'm offering midwife services and herbal remedies." "Nothing illegal about that." Elias smirked. "You think Beckett cares about technicalities?" Before Rosa could answer, hoofbeats splashed through the mud. A native woman rode up, her horse sure-footed despite the storm. She dismounted with quiet grace, carrying a leather satchel that clinked with glass bottles. "You must be Rosa Quinn." The woman's English carried only a trace of accent. "I'm Nia Two Elks. Heard you needed proper medicines." Rosa extended her hand, noting the calluses, another healer's marks. "Word travels fast." Quote, "Faster when it concerns someone challenging Judge Beckett," Nia said, her dark eyes holding both humor and warning. "My grandmother taught me the old ways. Plants that grow here, medicines your Eastern doctors never dreamed of." "I'd be grateful to learn," Rosa said sincerely. "Though you should know, associating with me might bring trouble." Nia's lips curved slightly. Trouble finds my people regardless. At least this trouble serves a purpose. She unpacked her satchel, bundles of herbs, small jars of paste, and a bottle of pale yellow tincture. Here, willow bark for pain, prairie coneflower for infection, and this draws poison from wounds better than anything the city sends west. Elias leaned against the doorframe, watching them work. "Your people trade with the Shoshone?" he asked. "My people are Shoshone," Nia replied calmly. "My father was French-Canadian. I walk between worlds." Rosa glanced up. "Seems we all do." The storm deepened. Thunder rolled across the valley like artillery fire. Rosa was mixing tinctures when more horses approached. 5 this time. She recognized the lead rider before he dismounted. Deputy Owen Pike, young and nervous, with 2 Pinkertons at his back. "Miss Quinn," Owen said, rain dripping from his hat brim. "Judge Beckett orders this place searched for illegal medical supplies." "On what grounds?" Elias stepped forward, his tone calm but dangerous. "Judge's orders are the grounds," one of the Pinkertons sneered, brushing past them. Rosa raised her chin. "Search away, Deputy Pike. You'll find herbs and midwife tools, nothing more." The Pinkerton shoved jars aside, spilling precious medicine, breaking 2 bottles. "Careful!" Rosa snapped. "Those are for expectant mothers." "Expectant mothers?" One agent barked a laugh. "Looks more like surgical gear to me." He lifted her small kit triumphantly. "Those are my grandmother's birthing tools." Nia interrupted smoothly. "Traditional medicine, protected under treaty." Surely the judge wouldn't want word reaching the Bureau of Indian Affairs that he confiscated native religious items. The Pinkerton hesitated, eyes narrowing. "Religious, huh?" Quote. "Deeply," Nia said, voice soft but sharp as a knife. Even Owen looked uneasy. "Leave the instruments," he decided at last. "But Miss Quinn, you've been warned. 1 step out of line, and Beckett will see you in irons." When they rode off, Rosa stood in the wreckage of her clinic, shaking with fury. Hours of work ruined in minutes. "Nothing stolen," Nia noted quietly, helping her pick up the pieces. "That's something." Elias crossed his arms, studying Rosa's trembling hands. "You knew this was coming." "I did," she admitted, "but I didn't expect it so soon." "Beckett's tightening his grip. If he thinks you're stirring up the miners, he'll crush you." "Then let him try," Rosa straightened. "I didn't come all this way to bow to another tyrant." Elias's eyes softened, pride flickering behind the caution. "You've got fight, Miss Quinn." "I'll give you that." "Fight's all I've ever had," she said quietly. He hesitated, then reached into the wall he'd been reinforcing earlier. Pulling aside a loose board, he revealed a hidden compartment. "For anything you need kept safe," he said. "My father built hides like this during the range wars. Never know when the law might come calling." Rosa looked up at him, startled. "Why are you helping me?" His jaw tightened. "Because I'm tired of watching good people suffer while men like Beckett get rich. And because," he paused, struggling for words, "my sister died in childbirth 3 years ago. No doctor would come out that far. A midwife might have saved her." Rosa's anger softened. "I'm sorry." "Don't be." His voice was rough. "Just be good at what you do." The rain drummed harder on the roof. Rosa met his eyes, seeing something there she hadn't expected. Vulnerability beneath the hard edges. She nodded. "Then I'd better start by putting this place back together." They worked side by side in silence, repairing what they could. Outside, lightning split the sky. Inside, something fragile but real began to take shape. Trust. When they finally stopped, exhausted, Rosa glanced toward the window, where the rain had turned to mist. "It's strange," she said softly. "After everything, I almost feel hopeful." Elias smiled faintly. "Careful, Miss Quinn. Around here, hope's the most dangerous thing there is." She turned to face him, mud on her boots, hair damp and loose from the storm. "Then I suppose we'll both have to live dangerously." For a long moment, neither spoke. The thunder rolled away into the distance, leaving only the quiet sound of rain against the roof and the steady rhythm of 2 hearts learning the same song. "Wait, before we move on, what do you think about the story so far? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, partners." The late-night wind carried the smell of rain and gunpowder through the valley. Rosa Quinn crouched behind a stack of freight barrels at the Ash Hollow depot, her breath misting in the chill. The distant rumble of a train echoed across the plain. Too early, too quiet, too wrong. Elias Crow tightened his grip on his rifle beside her. "That's not the regular run," he murmured. "Beckett's moving something tonight." Rosa nodded. "Then we find out what." Quote, "They'd spent weeks gathering evidence, ledgers, letters, strange shipments marked as mining supplies but filled with arsenic. Beckett's land-poisoning scheme was unraveling, and he knew it. Now he was trying to cover his tracks before Rosa and Elias exposed him. The train's whistle screamed. The engine roared into the station, brakes squealing, sparks flying. Figures moved in the shadows, Pinkertons and hired guns. Rosa's heart thudded. Elias gave a hand signal. They split, moving like ghosts around the freight cars. The air exploded with gunfire. Rosa ducked as bullets tore through the barrels. She rolled, pulling Elias's spare revolver from her coat. Her hands shook, memories flashing from field hospitals, men screaming, smoke choking the air. But she pushed them down. This was now. "Rosa!" Elias shouted, firing from cover. "Get down!" "I am down!" she shouted back, returning fire at a gunman crawling onto the roof. A bullet sparked off the rail beside her. The train's rear car burst open, and Rosa caught sight of something glinting, metal crates stamped with the seal of the United States Army. Her stomach turned cold. "Elias, it's not mine ore, it's federal gold." He swore under his breath. "Beckett's not just poisoning land, he's stealing from the government." More gunfire answered him. The firefight raged for minutes that felt like hours. Then, just as suddenly, the train went silent. The bandits scattered. In the chaos, Rosa saw the truth. Beckett's men fighting Beckett's own guards. "What in God's name?" she whispered. A flash of lightning revealed a new figure striding through the smoke. Judge Silas Beckett himself, coat whipping in the wind, revolver drawn. "You should have stayed in your place, Miss Quinn," he sneered. "You and that fool rancher could have lived quiet." Elias stepped from the shadows, gun raised. "Seems I was never good at quiet." The two men faced each other like mirror images, law and outlaw blurred by greed and dust. Rosa stood between them, every instinct screaming to stop the bloodshed. "Drop it, Beckett," she ordered. "It's over. I've got enough evidence to hang you from here to Cheyenne." He laughed. "You think anyone back east cares? You're a nurse with no license, and he's a washed-up scout with debts. No jury will believe you over me." Elias's finger tightened on the trigger. Rosa reached out, grabbed his belt. "Don't," she said sharply. "He wants you to shoot." Beckett smirked. "Smart woman." Elias's jaw clenched, muscles taut with fury. Rosa's grip didn't waver. "You shoot him, he dies a martyr," she said lowly. "We bring him in, he dies a criminal." For a heartbeat, the storm held its breath. Then Beckett moved, fast, desperate. A gunshot split the night. Beckett staggered back, eyes wide, and collapsed into the mud. Rosa turned to Elias, but his pistol was still lowered. Behind them stood Nia Two Elks, rifle smoking. "He reached first," she said calmly. Rain poured harder, washing the blood into the earth. Rosa exhaled, trembling. "It's over." "Not yet," Elias said, scanning the train cars. "We need proof of what he was hauling." Quote, "They pried open one of the crates. Inside lay stacks of gold bars stamped with federal markings and papers sealed with the judge's own signature. Enough evidence to bury the entire conspiracy." By dawn, the storm had passed. The lawmen from Cheyenne arrived by telegraph order, led by a new federal marshal. Beckett's surviving men were arrested. The stolen gold returned to government hands. Ash Hollow woke to a different world, one where truth finally outran corruption. Weeks later, Rosa stood outside her rebuilt clinic, sunlight glinting off the clean water well nearby. Children laughed as they filled buckets, their mothers smiling through tears. The poisoned wells had been purified, and the town was healing. Elias walked up beside her, his hat in hand, that rare half-smile on his lips. "Looks like you won, Miss Quinn." "We," she corrected, brushing dust from her apron. "We won." He nodded, eyes soft. "You planning to stay?" Quote, Rosa looked over the hills, where the wind rippled the grass like waves. "For the first time in a long while," she said, "I think I found where I belong." Elias took her hand gently. "If you'll have me, I'd like to make that permanent." Rosa blinked, caught between laughter and tears. "You proposing, Mr. Crow?" "Reckon I am," he said with a grin. "You drive me straight into sin, woman. Might as well make an honest man out of me." She laughed, the sound carried away on the soft Wyoming wind. "Then I suppose I'll have to say yes." And under that endless frontier sky they sealed a promise, not just of love, but of rebuilding, of standing together against whatever storms might come. For Rosa Quinn, the war was finally over. But the West, and Elias Crow, had given her something far more powerful than peace. It had given her purpose, justice, and a love that burned brighter than the sun over Powder Pass.